Hi, welcome back to the Sing Confidently Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here. Today, I have an interview with Olivia Roan. She is going to tell you all about how you can walk boldly in your creative calling and how you can be intentional about making time to sing and create and why you should be making that time. Okay. She's a writer, she's a book coach, she is a singer as well. She writes songs and she crochets. She's a creative entrepreneur and just like a creative all around. So I hope that you are inspired by this conversation. It really inspired me. Like, honestly, she talks about like just like choosing to walk in her creativity and like choosing to embrace it and like put a stake in the ground and say, you know what, this is something that God has given me to do. And I'm not going to shy away from it or like turn it down or minimize it really. And I think that's something that we do a lot. We minimize our creative gifts, we minimize our desire for even a career in the arts, and we kind of push it aside instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna take action towards it. And it's not going to be perfect or overnight, but it's something that I want to be taking action towards. And so it just inspires me to hear these conversations. And I hope it inspires you guys. I hope it encourages you. It's so helpful to me as I'm on this journey myself, and I'm on this journey with you guys. And you guys have been, some of you have been here for a while. So, you know, I've been on this journey. I just want to give a shout out to everyone who has left a review on the podcast. It really helps and it also encourages me to be able to see your reviews, or some of you, you know, I've been able to talk to you on Instagram, like via DM, like that just really encourages me. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. All right. Well, we're going to get into today's episode. Oh, reminder, the Sing Confidently Masterclass. It's a free masterclass coming up beginning of May. So go ahead and register. If you go to creativelybyestelle.com/studio, you'll see it like right across the top of the website of my website, free masterclass. Just go ahead and register. I would love to see you there. It's going to be a time where we'll dive into how you can build confidence as a singer, but I'm also going to hone in on specific topics that are pertinent to you, like where you are as a singer. And there'll be time for coaching at the end of it, so you can like get some free coaching. I'm going to be doing some lives and stuff over the next few weeks just so I can like hone in on what you guys really want to hear about. So make sure you're connected with me on Instagram. Trying to currently trying to recover my personal Instagram because it was hacked. Ugh, I know. So annoying, but I'm gonna figure that out. But yeah, just like connect with me over there, Creatively by Estelle. But I'll definitely be at Creatively Performing Arts as well, my studio page. And I'll be going live a bunch on those platforms just to try to engage with you guys as much as possible. So that way we can talk to each other and you can share with me like some of the topics that you would want to hear in this masterclass. Like, do you want to know about riffing? Do you really want to know about developing more vocal power, or being able to just like feel confident on stage, right? Or like whatever it is. So that's kind of, I kind of want to hear some of those questions that you have one on one. So joining me on those lives is going to be helpful. Joining me in the Facebook group, I'm also going to be, of course, in my Facebook group asking those questions. So those are ways to connect with me. I hope that you take advantage of that. I hope that we're able to connect, and certainly go to creativelybyestelle.com/studio to sign up for the masterclass regardless. So that way you know all the updates and you know when it's going to be and all the details that are going to come over this next month. Okay. That's all I have to say. I hope you have an amazing, oh, I was going to say have an amazing day, but you're going to listen to the rest of the podcast. Don't go anywhere yet. I hope you enjoy this conversation that I had with Olivia. I hope that you're inspired. I hope you take notes and that you're ready to take action as soon as you listen to this conversation. Without further ado, my interview with Olivia Roan. All right, I'm so excited, you guys, to bring to you my new friend, Olivia Roan. Did I pronounce that correctly, Roan?
Yes, you
Okay,
did.
great. Yeah, I was like, okay, like Chapel Roan, Olivia Roan.
Yes.
So awesome. I'm so excited to chat with you today. We connected just like over music and the fact that we're both creatives, building online businesses, which is so cool. But I would love to hear your journey when it comes to becoming a creative and becoming an artist that you are now, and a little bit of how music was a part of that, how singing has been part of that as well. But I just love to hear a little bit of your journey because everyone has a journey. We talk about that a lot on the show. And it's important for us to hear other artists on their, their journey as well. So share that with us.
Yeah, awesome. First of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Um, oh gosh, this is such a big question. As a creative, you hear a lot of the times, how did you get into this? How did you get into that? And then sometimes I feel like that's the wrong question. Like I feel like I didn't get into anything, it was already inside of me, you
Mm,
know?
yeah.
So I just remember being really young and just drawn to all things creative. Music was definitely one of the first. I loved singing. Like I'm a Christian. I pray all the time, and I remember being young, I would never speak my prayers. I would always sing my prayers to God.
That's so funny.
And I
I love
remember,
that.
yes, I remember like getting older and like finally speaking my prayers, and then I'm like, this feels weird. So like that was just one of the ways that I always connected to like God and my faith. But then, it's also how I connected creatively to different things in my life. I think I think um, my creativity is always centered around storytelling. Like I'm a storyteller at my core, and I do think a lot of creative outlets go back to storytelling. Like music is also storytelling as well. So as a young kid, I was drawn to music. I was drawn to storytelling. I was constantly writing in my notebook, like trying to come up with songs, trying to come up with poems and like different things. Um, and that led me to theater as I got a little older too, and musical
Speaking my
theater.
language.
Yes, which then led me to want to actually study film production after school. And then uh, after that, I um, decided I wanted to focus on writing books, but like music has always kind of been in the background of all of that. But my biggest challenge in stepping into all of these is being bold. Because sometimes when you're a theater kid, when you're 9, and when you're a teenager, and when you're in high school, they're like, oh, okay, that's cute, like that makes sense. But then you start pursuing these things in college, and they're like, okay, well, maybe you could be like a theater teacher or like, teach these things, or have you ever thought about becoming a nurse? And you're just, you're surrounded with people with a different vision,
Mm,
and the vision that you have, but not everybody else does. And it takes a lot of boldness to step out and say, no, I'm pursuing my creativity. Like I'm pursuing music, I'm pursuing writing, I'm pursuing these things that I know that have always been on the inside of me. And I'm not going to shy away from finally letting them loose. So I think the biggest thing I'm also learning right now in my creative journey personally is how to walk in boldness, especially in this kind of startup phase that I feel like I'm still in. Um, you cross the threshold, you're not quite to where you want to be, but you're making progress over perfection, doing it messy, doing it bold, not feeling like you have to have all the pieces together perfectly before you finally take action and step out in boldness and tell people, I am a singer. I am a musician, or, whatever it may be. Um, maybe you don't feel comfortable calling yourself a singer because, well, I just sing in my shower, I just sing around my house, but if you like to sing and you have that on your heart, like you're a singer, you can call yourself that. You don't need to have a specific accomplishment tied to it in order to start boldly like claiming what you already know is on the inside of you.
that is so good. I love that you talked about boldness.
Hmm.
I want to highlight that because a lot, like this show is called Sing Confidently, right? Because we think that like we want to say like, oh, how do I become more confident in my voice? How do I get more confidence? And, you know, the truth is, and this is what I tell my students, whether I'm coaching or in my course, that the truth is you have to take action, right? You have to take courageous action over time consistently, and that's how you actually build your confidence in singing, in writing, in acting, in performing, in any creative endeavor, and in like being able to speak up and say like, oh, like no, I am going to be doing this singing thing, or I am going to start, you know, working on this aspect of my voice because it is important to me. At the beginning, it's going to feel scary when you start to tell people that, for sure. Like, listen, I get like, I literally left medical school and was like, I'm going to go to music school, I'm going to do music. Like, that was not easy, right? It took courage to be able to say that. And then eventually I got more confident, like, oh no, this is what I know I'm supposed to be doing. And I have creative gifts. I have gifts in singing and performing, and I know that I'm going to do something about it. I'm not going to let it, you know, fall to the wayside. And so I love that you talk about that boldness to step out and step up into like, this is what I want to do. And I'm
Mhm.
not going to shy away from it anymore. And I love that you are someone who you're creative, like all the way through. Like uh you're so creative. You're writing, you're a writer, you have a podcast, which we're gonna get to. And you do crochet as well, and you sing and you like talk about writing music, which we'll also talk about. And so the thing that I want to highlight here is that like even though you have a busy schedule, right? You have like you're starting your business and all that, which so many women who are listening to this also have very busy lives, very busy schedules with spouses, kids, jobs, like so many things, church activities, but you still make time to do the things that you love to do. You
Yes.
still can make time to sing, to to
Mhm.
write music and things like that. How do you find like as an adult, because we're both like in the same stage in our lives, like in our mid-20s, and you're like, okay, you don't have the structure of college and school necessarily. I'm still in school, but not the same, not the same way. You don't have that structure. You kind of have to plan out your days and your life. How do you fit in the things that you want to do, whether it's writing songs, singing a little bit here and there? Like, do you find that you're able to make time for those things? And how does that look for you?
Yes, because the first step was realizing that it was a priority and I had a responsibility for it.
Mm,
Um, you know, and again, I think it just ties back to the boldness. Sometimes we don't make time for it because we're afraid. I think especially as creatives or even as singers that, other people are like, well, really you have a responsibility to do A, B, C, and D first. But it's like if I have this gift on the inside of me, then I have a responsibility for that too. So, I mean, it's important to balance all your responsibilities. And I think, what people don't recognize is me saying that I'm going to prioritize my creativity is not me saying I'm going to throw out all my other responsibilities. Because there's almost this stigma around creativity that it's immature or naive, but that is just not true at all. Creativity can mature just like anything else in your life can mature. Um, so the first step for me was recognizing my creativity as um, a priority and evaluating the season that I'm in. Um, so for me personally, like I want to invest in my creativity. I believe that the more you invest, the more you'll get out. Um, if you're wanting to sing and you're wanting to create, but you're holding yourself back, um, you're always just going to keep walking in a circle. And I just got a life where I was like, I'm done walking in a circle. Even if that means that for 15 minutes a day, I'm going to uh, sing or write my book or like whatever my creative goal was at the time, I got very specific.
mm,
Um, for me, my creativity and my faith are very intertwined. And you know, God gave me a very specific list and he put it in an order of art, writing, music. And I live my life in relationship with God and he brings me through. He's like, okay, right now we're in an art season. Right now we're in a writing season. Right now we're in a music season. And I'm just very mindful of uh, focusing because when you're a creative, you want to do all the things.
yeah.
And then on top of this, another important thing is the small steps are just as beautiful as like the large goals. So sometimes when you're practicing like vocal warm-ups, it can seem boring. You just want to like jump to the stage already. You just want to be in front of everybody and do what you're like dreaming of doing, right? And what you know you're capable of doing. But there's also something so beautiful and just being intentional with that 15 minutes of vocal warm-ups or, whatever it is that you need in order to build up to that. So I'm definitely somebody that dreams big and I like want to jump to the stage or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, the importance of making time for it is one, recognizing it as a priority, and then being faithful to the small things that are going to help you get to that big thing that you're dreaming of. And practically, that's just going to look different based on what season of life that you're currently in. But the truth is, you have time for what you make time for. I truly believe if you recognized your creativity and your singing as a priority, you could find 15, 30 minutes in your day to set aside time for it.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you talked about first the prioritizing because that speaks to like the mindset of it all. Like
mhm.
and you talked about like knowing like your response, you said responsibility. I love that. Prioritizing it. If you have an ability to sing and you have a desire to
Yes.
sing, you are responsible to start singing, right? You're
Yes.
responsible to take action on that because you don't know how not only is that blessing you, but it's not only that, but like you can bless so many other people in small ways in the way that you're able to sing with boldness and worship at church and like that encourages other people to like be like, oh my gosh, I can worship freely too. And
Yeah.
that you sing like you might think like, oh, I maybe you have kids or you're married, like you could sing to your husband on his birthday, right? Sing a beautiful song, the song that you guys had your first dance,
Right.
to like, and because you've been working on it, you've taken that time to work on it, you have this special moment with your spouse, right? You have this special moment with your kids where you can sing to them and teach them how to sing too. You can't teach your kids how to sing, if you
Yes.
yourself haven't taken that time, right? So there's so many ways that just like prioritizing singing and any other art form really, and realizing that is your responsibility to take some action on that and like just see how it can bless other people from there. And then I also love that you talked about small steps, right? Small steps of action, being able to like start small, even if it's just like you said 15 minutes, even 5 minutes, like start with 5 minutes of like I'm gonna sing right before I go to bed, I'm just gonna listen to this song and sing along, right? Start small and grow from there. And I love that you everything that you said is so good. I think that
Yeah.
and I know that you I love how you talked about the different seasons too, like you have your art, your music, your art, your writing, your music. For you, are you in this place right now? Because I know you're a writer.
Hmm.
So for you, um, are you in this place where writing is like priority and then you're like kind of getting into writing music and writing songs right now?
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting question. Right now, I actually do feel like I'm in a music block of time,
Oh,
but as somebody who like I feel like my writing is number one to me,
right.
I've been forcing things like, well, I want to work on my book and I want to work on different things, but like I'm feeling like in my spirit, it's like, no, 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 you need to, this is a music block. Like we're focusing on music. Um, and so it's funny, like we're talking about making time for things. I finally was like, I'm gonna audition for the worship team in my church, and I was literally like practicing the melody and the harmonies like before we got on this call. Like I was like, okay,
Wow.
I've literally another 15 minutes before, I'm gonna jump on this computer. So like let's listen to it, let's do what I need to do. And, sometimes we don't recognize the importance of 15 minutes. Like we'll just be like, oh, it's just 15
Yeah.
minutes. Like, but if you stay consistent, then you're gonna look back and be like, wow, like look how far I've come with just setting aside 15 minutes a day that I found randomly, organically in my day. Which sometimes that's how it has to be when your life is busy, when you're
Right.
married or you have kids. Like you might not have a consistent time where you can sit down and practice, but you might have 15 minutes in the car, and you just put on a song and sing along with your kids. Like you can find time organically within your day. Like be flexible too.
Right.
purposeful but flexible, you know?
Sure. For sure. For sure. I love that. I love that you said, like right before this call, you're like, okay, I got
Hmm.
15 minutes. What can I do? How can I be creative? How can I feed this gift that I have? And so that's so cool. For you, like with writing and singing, what are some of the, I'm curious, like, do you find like any parallels between the art that you're doing right now? Like
Oh,
you talk
absolutely.
about storytelling as like the overarching thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
curious.
absolutely.
Hmm.
I see, so many parallels in all of my creative endeavors. Like
Yeah.
to me, I just feel like everything is connected. And art in general is a way to communicate that transcends language. And so, music or write or whatever it is, drawing, painting, like
Yeah.
dance, like you are communicating in a way that gets you out of your head and straight to your heart.
Mm.
Um, and storytelling for me is a part of that. Like when you're singing, like there's a story that you're telling, or there's something that you're communicating with more than just the lyrics of the song, but like the expression in the heart and the talent that you bring into it. People can connect with in such a special way. And yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. The storytelling piece is really important, especially when it comes to stage presence and performance skills, which is another aspect that I know a lot of people struggle with like confidence. Is like, okay, like now that I've started to do some practice and then like putting myself out there, which is what you're doing, you're going for an audition, right? You're prepping
Hmm.
for an audition for the worship team, right? That is you not only singing to yourself, right, doing that practice time, but now you're going to be sharing that gift with someone else, right? And that's the
Right.
performance of it all, whether a worship team or for a friend or a karaoke or open mic night. I always encourage like finding little ways to start putting yourself out there for an audition or whatever it is.
Yes.
Do you have any like any fears or anything when it comes to performing? And if so, how do you overcome that to like go to the audition, like to even put yourself out there to do the audition? How do you overcome some of that fear around that, if at all, if you have any?
That is an excellent question
Mhm.
because I also was a theater kid, so I feel like auditioning is my life in a way, and it
Yeah.
it it does wear on you if you're not handling it in a healthy way. I do think it's important to recognize that your talent and your abilities are separate from the opportunities that you'll receive as a singer. You are not your opportunities, right? So, I could go to this audition tomorrow and I could not get it. That's a possibility. And I'm not gonna let that fear hold me back because I know no matter what, I step into that room. Um, I'm confident in my ability as a singer, whether or not they accept me at this time or not, So that's what I will always be one of the hardest things to learn, especially like singing is different. Like you are your instrument, right? And it feels so personal. Um, like everything feels like a rejection, but you have to like flip the script and say, no, this isn't a rejection. Um, it's not the right opportunity. It's not the right time. And one of the things a vocal teacher told me one time that I like hang on to as like life advice. When I was just like, she could tell I was holding back in the lesson, and she was like, "What's going on? Like what are you afraid of?" And of course I'm like, "I'm afraid of hitting a wrong note." And she's like, "Okay, then what?" Like, you know, singers hit wrong notes all the time. It's like a wrong note doesn't make you a bad singer. Like hitting a wrong, you're still a good singer even if you hit a wrong note. And that stuck with me. Like, I am not my wrong notes, not only in singing, but just in life, like, and so I try to carry that into every room with me, and be like, uh, I am not the opportunities that I do or don't receive, and I am not the wrong notes that I hit. Like I am confident in who I am as a singer, um, and I'm just here for the experience, here to do what I love, and just to see what happens after that, and to gain that humility And that openness is, I think, a lifelong struggle when you are a performer, when you are a creative. Building that confidence that is so important. But it first comes with understanding your value outside of your talent, outside of your skill, and just knowing that you are a good singer, even if you hit a wrong note, even if you don't get this opportunity, those are separate from who you are as a singer. So, yeah.
Yes, I love that you said even if you hit a wrong note, you are not a bad singer. I feel like that should be on a t-shirt. Like
Mm-hmm.
every singer has hit a wrong note on stage, off stage, it doesn't matter. That's not what makes you a good singer. What makes you a good singer is that you continue to grow, is that you continue to sing, basically, is
Yes.
that you continue to learn, you continue to develop, and you start taking those steps of action. So I love that. I think that's so beautiful. Um, yeah, I love that. So, and speaking to like, okay, why do we then sing? Because you talked about like, okay, you're gonna share your voice. It is very vulnerable to share your voice, right, with um whoever you're auditioning for or performing for, right? That's very vulnerable. But what you're doing is that you are sharing your creativity, you are expressing your creativity. For you, what what is like what does it mean to express your creativity to and why is it important? What does it mean and why is it important to express your creativity? Because
Yeah.
we're going to go to your podcast in a second and I know this ties into that.
Yes. So that is a great question. It gets me excited because I have a very specific answer.
Yes.
It was actually a piece of writing advice that I got that confused me at the time, but she was telling me write with love for another person. And I was just confused because, but like, how does that work exactly?
Mm,
And then, but like, the more I think about it, the more I was like, I'm not writing just to write. I'm not creating just to create.
mm,
Like, I'm writing to express my love for another. I'm singing to express my love for another. And because when you write, sometimes it's good to have a specific person in mind that you're like, this is for you. Like, I want to tell this story for you specifically. The things that I want to teach or impart, or it just adds heart into your work when you're doing it from a place of humility, from a place of openness, from a place of love. And especially for me as a Christian, I see creativity not only as self expression, but as an expression of worship
mm,
and an expression of like love to other people. So, you know, I love artists because they tend to be very joyful, unique people who have a unique perspective on the world. And so, um, this also ties into like being confident when you go into an audition room because, like, when you walk in there, you just think, okay, I'm not here to get something, I'm here to give something,
mm.
right? I'm not here to get this opportunity, which it's kind of how most people think, right? But I think that only leads to unhealthy ways of processing rejection. If you, again, flip the script and you say, I'm not here to get something, I'm here to give. What can I give? And a lot of artists give joy, like they give hope, they give peace. Like, what is it that's connected to your creativity that's so valuable to you that you're expressing when you sing? So,
Wow.
um, I that's another key thing that I try to bring in the audition room too, is I'm
Wow.
giving them the opportunity to feel joy, to feel hope, to feel peace. Whether they receive that or not is on them. It's not on me. So I can leave this audition room knowing that I am still a great singer.
Wow. Just snaps. That was so good. That was so good. Like, yes, you're giving like the emotion, the connected to the singing. You're giving who God has called you to be. Like that is what you're giving. You're showing up, you're being a light, you're shining, you're loving, you're sharing joy. Like that's so good. And that's why singing and wanting to sing is not selfish. Like it is an
Mhm.
opportunity that you're going to then bless other people. You're going to then share something that's beautiful in you with someone else. And so I love that. That's so amazing. As for wrapping up, I just want to let everyone know that you do have a podcast specifically for writers. And I'd love for you to
Yes.
say what the show is called and what's like your number one thing that you want people to know about the show so that they can come find you if they're like interested in writing, maybe writing songs or writing a book. And writing is something that is another way of expression, form of expression that they'd love to build confidence in as well as singing.
Yes, I do have a podcast. It's called Inspired to Write. And it I talk a lot about what we're talking about now, just creativity, how to take care of your creativity and the intersection between creativity and faith, because that's something that's very important to me. But I also want to equip aspiring authors practically so that they can write their book, have clarity around what they're writing, and honor God through their creativity without anything holding them back, and just be able to write their book start to finish. So, through equipping them spiritually and equipping them practically in their craft. So, that's a little bit about what I do on there.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. So make sure you go and listen to Inspired to Write by Olivia Rowan. So that way you can get that inspiration and practical advice too. If you are like, oh, I also want to do this writing thing, like writing and singing, like all these creative aspects go hand in hand so well. So that's beautiful. And my last question is always like, if you could speak to the person listening, the woman who's like, I really want to start singing again. I really want to feel more confident in my singing voice. I just don't have the time. I just don't know where to begin. And I feel a little bit overwhelmed and I don't know if I can prioritize it. If you could just give them one last word of advice, what would you say to that person?
I want to speak to their value as a human being, their value as a woman, their value as a singer. Um, because I know at the heart of everything, I had a lot of excuses of what was holding me back. But at the end of the day, what was holding me back is that I didn't understand my value,
Mm,
and just reiterating the fact that you right now, sitting where you are, with the skill that you do or don't have, with the things that you have or haven't done, with the age that you are or are not, with the looks that you do or don't have, you are still so incredibly valuable, and it's not over for you. There is so much ahead of you, and you are so capable of more than you realize. But first, realize before achievement, before all of these other things that you feel like you need, you already, as you are so valuable.
that was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I had to cough in the middle of that. So I had to mute myself, but I was still listening. That was so powerful. You are valuable. Yes, the value is it like valuing yourself, valuing your gifts. That's how you start to take action on them and
Mhm.
with intention. So thank you so much for sharing that, Olivia. Please tell everyone where they can come listen to the podcast and hang out with you and find you and connect with you.
Yeah, so my podcast is available on the major streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever it is you stream your podcast. I also have my website, which is just my name, oliviaroan.com. But be mindful of the spelling of my name, because my first name is with an A and not with an O, so it's
Yeah.
Alivia. So yeah, come hang out with me on the podcast. I would love to have you.
Yay! Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is amazing. I
Well,
love
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the Performing Arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.